Okay.
Maybe he'll wear himself out.
Maybe.
Okay, you're telling story.
Welcome to Grandpa Hill's True Stories. These stories are for my children, my grandchildren.
And all children.
You sound like you've heard that before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, do you realize though that it won't be all children, but children all over the world actually get to hear these?
Yeah.
And there's several thousand at least that have heard it now. So, this is a story that is about the circumstances and events that happen to get things to where they are right now. To this moment where I'm sitting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandchildren, their parents. Oh yeah, the parents of the grandchildren. There's 4 of those.
5 parents.
Really? There's 5? 1, 2.
5 children.
Yeah. Well, there's me. I'm a parent and a grandparent. So this story is called Peanuts. Specifically, circus peanuts.
Oh, I hate
You hate circus peanuts?
I hate
Those are so
Okay, then you're going to love the story.
Yes.
Circus.
I don't
This is everyone knows what they are though. They're sugary, they're that circus peanuts. They're usually orange.
Like this.
Corbin got a whole bag from a lady lately, and they're not all orange. There's like different flavors in there too. But the ones in this story are circus peanuts that are orange, and they changed my life so much that it ended up with my children and you as grandchildren. Not all completely, but from circus peanuts. So in May of 1975, long before cell phones and internet and all that stuff, I did a terrible thing. I had told your grandmother that I was not interested in being her boyfriend anymore. And I made plans to leave for the United States Air Force Academy, where I would get a free education, and I would fly airplanes, and I would be very physically fit, and I would be at the top of everything. So in June of 1975, I moved out of Michigan and moved into the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I was a cadet in Deuce Squadron 2, 2nd Squadron. Basic training was tough. There's this big 9-foot wall to go over. There was orienteering. I got captured. There were night maneuvers. I got shot. There were pugil sticks, and I got beat up. I also did some beating, but I did get beat up. So I learned to box. I studied hard at it and threw a bunch of punches. And I really wanted to learn how to throw punches because I really wanted to hurt the upperclassmen because they were always they call it hazing. They were kind of picking on us. And then I met my match and I got knocked out. I didn't like boxing as much after I got knocked out. I flew in a helicopter on the outer seat at treetop level at an angle without a safety belt. It's pretty exciting. And for a short time, I flew a T-38 training jet. All very exciting and very inspirational to go and be a great cadet. It's not a steering wheel, it's a stick. So I was going to be at a prestigious school to be a pilot, be a soldier in the sky, hopefully a bomber or a fighter pilot. I would also be in excellent physical shape and have a great career at the United States Air Force Academy. School started, and it got harder to eat. We ate, and as we ate, We would be hazed and interrupted about our manners or movements, and we weren't allowed to talk. We were essentially eating at attention. You know what attention is from trail life. You sit up straight, all this other stuff, and you had to be careful. So this future pilot, this active college guy, I was always hungry, even without the dietary restrictions imposed by the upperclassmen. My family heard of this and they started to feed me. They would send me cans of
Brussels sprouts. Circus peanuts.
no, not circus peanuts. They're coming pretty soon.
Beans.
No, they send me cans.
Of beer.
Oh, no, I could drink beer then, but it was like 3.2 beer in Colorado. You were allowed to do. Okay, but they didn't have any beer at the academy. You have to get off, and you weren't going to do that until later in the year. In that first year, they were cans. They were Pringle cans, and my mother and my girlfriends that I hadn't been around or anything, and my sister, they'd all fill those Pringle cans with muffins and cookies and stuff. And they were great for packing as a Pringles can, and great for the shipping costs. So there were no Pringles in them ever. And what do you think I did with those muffins and cookies?
You shared them. Look.
Yes, you know the story?
No.
You always know the story. So what did I do with them? I did eat them. Okay. I'd eat one or two. And then I would open, if the can was open, if it had been open, if the package was open, my roommates could eat my stuff. I said, it's not my stuff. It's our stuff. You eat it. If you want it. Which also means they ate it. They didn't get any stuff from home. I did. So I had two roommates, and I explained to them how, they can eat the food. Most days after I had one muffin or two cookies, like a vacuum cleaner, they would be gone when I got back from class. On one of those days, at about 2 p.m, this is the circus peanuts part, I was in our room and noticed one of my roommates, John O'Neill, had a package of sweet, delicious treat bought at the commissary store.
Circus peanuts.
That is when circus peanuts began to permanently affect my life. John had lots of circus peanuts. It was a 1-pound bag of circus peanuts. I was hungry, and my shipment of muffins was gone, and there would be no time to buy any licorice or even get to the commissary store. So I popped 3 or 4 of those circus peanuts into my mouth, did some studying, and then got off to my next class. So satisfying. They really hit the spot. Around 5 o'clock, I came back to my room, and there was John with his circus peanuts in piles on the desktop. He was separating them out into piles. I think, is he going to ration them? To share them? I was about to find out. John says, did you eat some of my circus peanuts? Yes, John, I did. He had caught me like a thief. That was the look on his face and the tone of his voice. And then the thief had admitted his guilt. I didn't understand where he was coming from. I told him I would never do it again, but he never forgave that incident. Yet from that point on, so I was treated differently by him, as though he was tolerating a thief as a roommate. And that bothered him. So the cadets would take an honor code that said, I will not lie, steal, nor cheat, or tolerate among me one who does. So he didn't feel too good because he was living with a thief. Keeping that in mind, that like how I had shared everything that I'd get, and how disturbed he was about me taking the peanuts, that didn't matter. I became very bitter and revengeful. I thought he was a pretty bad guy. So the same John, he would continue to eat the food that I came in from my family and friends, and I never asked for another circus peanut. And I started to resent the kind of roommate I had and decided to make life very hard on him. I decided to start smoking cigars.
Why?
Because he didn't like cigars.
Oh, that's mean.
Yeah, that's mean. So he was sickened by that. I opened the window to let the smoke out. Well, then he was hot. The air conditioning wasn't working. And there was still smoke in the room. He got a letter from his girlfriend. Before he opened it, I cautioned him it was bad news. A Dear John letter. And his name was John. Meaning they were breaking up and no longer going to be friends. Well, it turned out it was a Dear John letter.
Oh, no.
And he was heartbroken. And he was really sour on me. So I worked hard to make sure he was not my friend. And he was miserable, but we still have to live together. We got the one room. We're supposed to depend on each other. Then there came a day where I was on trial for cheating. They would have a trial. I had misunderstood the details of a rule that had at the academy, and I understood cheating. I knew what that was all about. But I'd had some help with an English paper where grammar was being corrected, and that was against the rules. A lot of people were doing it, not realizing you got no help at all, period. Not even how to spell a two-letter word. You don't discuss it, you just do your work. Most people didn't understand that to be the rule. But anyways, so I had, in preparing for my trial, I had people in my defense that would talk about how I would correct them in the middle of the hallway for talking about a test, that because they wouldn't give each class they'd have a test, and that test might be out for like 2 or 3 days, and you were not to share, talk about, or do anything about that test. And I would stop them. I would correct change at the cashier. I would do different things. I had different witnesses that would say about how I'm not a cheater. I'm not a bad guy. So that was going pretty good, but then there was another witness, another person at the trial, John. John said I was a thief. He said I was a thief because I ate his circus peanuts. And he said I was a thief, or I was dishonest because I had misled him, because he was the one who had helped me on the English paper. Not a thief, but that I was cheating. And we had both turned ourselves in, and basically we were trying to get clarification. But when it came down to asking him about my character, he thought my character was pretty bad. Plus, he didn't like me anyway, which because I was doing things that would make him not like me. And I didn't like him. So no one should know me better than my roommate. And my roommate thought I was pretty bad. So from a circus peanut, and from being vengeful, and from rules that didn't capture or represent my true character, with my career, essentially I was asked to leave the academy. They found me guilty, and I left. So with my career ended in the Air Force, my hopes of that career were quite destroyed. I didn't think my life was worth much. I was ashamed. I left the United States Air Force for Mexico to work in the oil fields. I got right to the border in El Paso and changed my mind after my dad asked me repeatedly when I would be home. Well, I did get home and started with some encouragement and help to get my life back together. I became Grandma's boyfriend again. Then I got married to Grandma. Then we had children. Then those children had you. And you grew, and the things that happened Say that again.
I'm so glad you ate the peanut.
That's so good. And you grew enough to be able to sit here and listen to this story. So to this day, do you think I like circus peanuts?
No.
No. Yeah.
Yes. Wait. That's.
It's supposed to be a hard question.
I know.
There's no wrong answer.
You used to like to buy them for us when we were.
Yeah, I'd buy them for you guys. How many did I eat? I'd never eat more than 4, but usually I'll eat 1 circus peanut.
A year.
Maybe not even a year, if it's there. You know,
Okay.
I mean, it would be more than a year if I was buying for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, because circus peanuts were really special to me, because I understand where I'm at had a lot to do with a lot of things, but a small little decision about eating those circus peanuts. Now, was it wrong for me to eat the circus peanuts?
Yes.
Yes.
Was I a thief?
It really depends. I bet you were eating them because you thought you were doing a good deed of giving your food away, and you thought that you'd be generous and let you have.
Yeah, so I was presuming I actually was a thief. That's how it comes down to.
Why did John know how many peanuts he had in
He
his
was
bag? And
counting them. I don't know how he knew it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is a little.
Sounds like he wanted you to take them.
he wanted to catch you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe really didn't like you. That is a people.
You could make an argument for
You know that?
one act of thieving does not make you a hardened.
Yeah, you didn't have to be hardened. You just had to have a transgression.
Right.
And you have to make your argument louder so it'll be recorded. I like it.
So one act of stealing does not necessarily make one a hardened thief.
0 tolerance. I'm just saying, that's what I was up against.
Yeah, especially on behalf of your roommate. You know, even after you apologized, and then you have to take into account the gravity of the situation. I mean, we're talking about circus peanuts. We're not talking
No,
about,
it's a stealing.
Yeah, it is stealing, right? It's a trust
It's
thing.
just a circus peanut.
But, you know.
Just a No. I was taking it. How does Owen feel if you take something that belongs to him? Oh yeah,
But most
you're still a
adults
thief.
shouldn't be acting like toddlers.
Yeah.
That was my thinking, actually, Lizzie. I'm not saying that's the right thinking, but I'm saying that was my thinking.
Yeah.
So, to finish this.
What if John is listening to the podcast?
Okay, oh yeah. Oh, I thought about that before. I'm not big enough yet. You be able to go find it someday. We did not part in good, happy circumstances. So, with that, do you think that the circus peanut actually affected us getting to this point sitting in the living room right now?
Yes. Yes.
No.
Okay.
I think it's all because
Was there something more important
it
than the
was
circus
God's
peanut?
will, so he doesn't care that it happened because of a circus peanut.
Oh, so it was God's will that we
It
got
happened because God desired it to happen.
there. Interesting. So I don't know for sure. I've thought about that a little bit. I don't know.
No, God used his bad decisions to bring greater good out of it and bring us here.
So one of the things that happened when I got home is I asked my mom something. And I asked my mom something the same way that Uncle Michael Dominic had asked me about. It was like, why didn't you tell me not to go to the Air Force Academy? That's what I asked my mom.
Well, I bet she
What
said,
do you think she said?
Because I didn't want your dream to be wrecked or something.
No, she wasn't into this dream thing too much. That's not that's not the mom that I had.
What about she wanted you to try it? Make sure that
No, not at all.
into?
This is what she said. She says, I didn't want you to go. I didn't think it was the right place for you to go. I didn't think you would make it through. And I also thought, hands down, that if I said any of that to you, you would just be more hell-bent on going.
Yeah.
True.
That's what she said. So the error wasn't, well, of course it wasn't eating the circus peanuts, but the error that set me up for all that was that I wasn't listening to my mom. We did not have a situation where I would listen to the people that knew and loved me most and knew most about me. I wouldn't listen to them because I knew better. Why? Well, I was smarter than them. I was educated. And I was really actually smart. I mean, I was like really, I could understand, do, learn all kinds of things. This was like, and you think I wouldn't make it at this school? Well, heck, I'll make it. That's not going to be a problem. And I was doing it. But then I started running into these things. So the actual, that's where the comment that you said, Lizzie, about God being involved with somehow with that decision about the peanuts, because God was really there in different things saying what I should do, but I was already like out of it. I was on the wrong path. So these other things that would have stopped me from going, or should have stopped me from going, that I had shut off. And I have this happen all the time with people around me, even my grandchildren, that one of the favorite things I really dislike when I tell you something is you say, I know. So when you say to me, I know, I say nothing more. Especially if I think you really mean, well, I know, like you don't need to tell me that. Because the openness to learn things and to listen to other people's opinions doesn't mean you have to do them. Or maybe in your case with your parents, you do have to do them. But in my case, I wouldn't listen to it. I mean, I'd listen, I'd be polite and listen, but it would just, if I really was paying attention, I would do the opposite. So that's what I think my mistake was. And I do think that there was something like God kind of moving this along, because how could such a silly thing like circus peanuts make any difference at all? How could it expose me or expose even John, Well, it's easy that it could expose John because he had a kind of a petty idea about his possessions and stuff like that. But it's still, even petty or not, it's still true that I stole the peanuts. I should have asked for those peanuts. Or I should have at least wrote him a note or something that said, I couldn't help myself. I had 5 peanuts. Or left him money for it or something. But I did just take him the 5 peanuts. So that's my story. Any comments?
No.
Okay.
I know.
Do you have any comments?
The end, yeah. I hope I had the microphone on. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.